get back to the league format. We're talking off here. We're going through the divisions here. We'll pick a manager. Uh,
Hmm.
we'll say the informed manager from each division. What's your take? We'll start obviously Division One first. What's out of the teams? Who's impressed you the most in terms of? There's a lot of new managers there.
Well, right, I'm going to throw something at you, right? For
Go on.
Division One, obviously your old buddy Davy, right, is a leading candidate, and hats off to him. I thought he would have struggled, right, and I'll be honest, I thought he would have struggled because I thought Roscommon didn't have enough to do well in Division One, right? They're a great group of lads. Davy's a very very young manager get in there, and you have to set your stall out very very early. You have to be a salesman very early, sell your idea, and you can see a bit of a buy-in.
Yeah,
You see the players really really playing now. I think the fact that there's been crowds back in Hyde Park have massively helped them as well from an energy perspective as well. A lot of young players have come in this year to Kildare, Keith Doyle and Ben O'Carroll and Dara Craig,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the young lad in goals, and that has obviously helped as well. Obviously McStay is the standout one, right? But for me, I think it's more than McStay. What's going on there? I think he's got a really illustrious backroom team there with Rochford and Buckley, and there's that many there. There's that many there that you'd be asking serious questions if they weren't winning bloody games. You'd be asking serious questions like, so.
I'd love to know who's paying them off, but I don't know. Go on.
Well, that's it. Well, I'll hear. I got in trouble. I got in trouble for cracking a joke one day with that, but sure, I'll not mention it. Like, but a few of the men in that backroom team reckon they're doing it just for 35p a mile. I think one of them said to me. But
Uh,
but but, I,
well, I can guarantee you that's
35
that.
35p a mile, but 35p a
Yeah.
mile, but he's traveling through Kazakhstan on the way back to Mayo. But on a serious note, I have to give it to Davy. I would have to give Division One, manager so far to Davy, just on the basis being that he's got in there very, very young into a team who hadn't won in Division One in about 4 or 5 times. I think they've only 2 wins in Division One in their 4 visits there. So hats off to him. He's got his 3 wins, and I think. I'm not trying to jinx it here, but I think they're safe. I think they're safe because I don't think results
Yeah,
can go. I think there has to be
yeah.
a mathematical mad
They're
spread of
playing
results.
Donegal. They're playing Donegal in the last game. I know that.
Right,
Donegal are on
right.
3, Monaghan on 4. So they're the bottom two,
Yeah.
obviously. Rossi's on 6. I don't know who's playing Monaghan next now.
Aye, but I'm nearly sure the Donegal not play somebody next that's down around there. I can't mind the run of the fixture, but I
I
remember
know.
looking at it
I
thinking
know.
they would be extremely unlucky to be relegated at 6 points. They would
Yeah,
be
yeah,
extremely
yeah,
unlucky,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
and their
I agree.
score difference isn't bad. And I'll tell you, Enda, even despite the fact they went 7 down, I would say an older Scommon would have lost that game by maybe 10, 11 points. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
And they
I
showed
agree
a
with
bit
that.
of fight, a bit of spirit, and got it back to within a kick of the ball, and could have won it, Enda. Could have won it,
What
only for that block.
this is why I'm so reserved on Mayo. To be honest with you, I still
Yeah,
like Mayo looks comfortable as could be for the majority of that game. And look, we got a poxy, we got a lucky goal too. Don't forget that. But again, goals. What's been our Achilles heel over the
yeah.
last 10 years is conceding goals in fucking finals, and 2 goals straight down the middle cut us open. I said this year. I said, look at like Conor Loftus is obviously at 6. It's a new position for him. It's very, very. It's one of the hardest positions you can play on the pitch in terms of pushing up your man and when to
Mm.
come back as that +1 and try to cut out that primary ball. Like so, it's a new position for him. So that's look at it. That's what I'm fearful of. I just look at it, and don't get me wrong here. They obviously Roscommon got the goal, Cox got the goal, and Mayo got the next kick out. But it was one of my other worries as well was it wasn't kind of a structured kick out in terms of yourself as we'd have go-to plays. If we need a
Yeah,
kick out, there's a go-to play you go to, and Mayo basically just lumped it out and they got a break. And I was thinking, right, they're lucky, they obviously got the break and they went
yeah,
up and scored a point like. But in those tight games, if you don't have
yeah.
a collective or a go-to move or a go-to kick
It's
out where look,
it's
we
like the
need this
Derry.
possession here.
It's like
Go
the
on,
Derry
sorry.
winning. It's like the Derry winning score on Saturday night. It was a set play.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was a
yeah, yeah,
set
yeah.
play.
So like, and that's look at this 5 rounds done in the league here. Like Mayo have been the informed team of the league. Like, don't get me wrong, but you know yourself when it comes to crunch time, 10 minutes to go in the Ireland final. People need to know exactly what they're doing as a
Yeah.
collective, and that's, in my opinion, and I've been part of it. That's what's let us down in the last
It's
10 years.
interesting. I've seen a thing. I seen a tweet from somebody. I don't know who it was, but it was like, that was the most Mayo. That was the most Mayo of Mayo finishes to a game of football I've ever seen. Someone had tweeted, and it was, it just, there's something fucking just manic about them. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it just seems to
Yeah,
be, one of those. I think, Enda, there's a beauty about it as well. There's I don't want to say innocence is probably the wrong word, but there is a natural freedom to probably the way they play, and they're not, really, really rigid defensively. Now, saying that,
I I know,
I
Stevie,
did.
but I sorry to put across it. I kick back in the there and say, like if I was a player now at this stage, and people are saying there's a beauty about that, I'd be taking that as a fucking insult at this stage. To be honest with you, I'd be like, honest to God,
I know.
and people say about chaos. I take that as a fucking insult as well, because that means what? That means we don't, we actually don't know what we're doing here as a collective, is it? That's what I take it as. Honestly,
And
you're laughing.
they've probably got the most
Uh,
rigid of game plans in place. But hey, but saying that, no, but saying that, I was going to say it before you said that. I'm still fucking laughing here. But before that, I got a text actually from a friend of mine who said to me, "Fuck me, McStay's giving off about defensive football, and look at the way they're setting up against." I can't remember who were they on TV against. Was it Kerry a couple of weeks ago?
yeah,
And they were
yeah,
wild defensive. Like, they were obviously sitting
yeah,
with a really, really deep line defensive system, and there was a bit of structure, there was a bit of shape to them, Andy. There was that you wouldn't have probably
yeah,
seen. Like, I,
yeah,
I seen a clip from behind I seen a clip from behind the goals in the All Ireland final about 4 or 5 years ago, right? And it was against Dublin. Maybe no, it wasn't even maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It was the COVID year with nobody in the stadium, and
yeah,
Dublin got a stretch attack on, so they set up their basketball attack. The one in,
yeah,
four out move, with the two boys in the sideline, the one man inside Kilkenny, and
yeah,
Oisin Mullen and someone else was marking them. I can't remember who it was, but they actually followed their men off the fucking field, followed them
yeah,
off the. And I was going,
yeah,
"What are you doing?
yeah.
Why are you not defending 10, 15 meters inside them, man? Like, madness, like,
So,
so
yeah,
I do.
you're trying to wind me up there, yeah.
Well, but I do.
Hold on,
I do.
hold on. Think all, Sam McGowan, think all, Jerry, will have a big say in the championship this summer, and at least one of them will be ahead of Dublin come the latter stages of championship. Um, well, Stevie disagrees with that. Mikey K, great to see the Rossies going. Well, just hope they can carry it on into championship. Fermanagh going great guns, as are Cavan. I know a man with a bet on Derry for the All Ireland. Yeah, yeah. It's nice. Fermanagh are going well, actually. Cavan, it's nice to see Cavan. Cavan are they'll hopefully get up to Division 2 at this stage, and they'll Mickey Graham. We're on about managers. He would be my pick for Division 3. I'd
Well,
say. I don't know about
I
you.
think I think we run one, but I think there's probably no argument in Division Two that it's Gallagher. Like, you know,
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. No
I
argument.
don't even think it's a discussion there. They probably well, it's definitely not Colin O'Rourke anyway. I can tell you that. But, Colin, unfortunately, is finding out that it's a lot harder standing on the sideline than it is sitting in the chair with a makeup on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the Division Three, yeah. Look, obviously, our own kind of a new manager, Connor. Has gone in there and has obviously tried to bring a lot of Kilcoo players in as well,
Yeah.
which isn't easy. Which isn't easy, right? Because there's always
And
going to be.
I'm gonna be I'm gonna be honest here now. You're slagging me here, obviously, but I'm gonna have a little jibe with you, not jibe with you, but we'll say if I'm manager down, if I'm in that down squad, right, and the Kilcoo boys are coming in after what they're fucking saying the last couple of years about the jabs with down football, I'd have fair play if Conor Laverty can get them all together and get a cohesive group going and a good team spirit. I'll tell you what, I'll shake that man's hand because he would have done a hell of a job. He'll have done a hell of a job.
It might be a bit of togetherness now, but when it comes to the club championship, something together, I can tell you. No, but listen, look, it's no, you've got a point, Enda. You've got a point. Like I would say, it's very difficult for Eugene Brannigan come on Sunday for Down. Like, and I'd say it's very, very difficult for a lot of players, maybe within Down, maybe within that setup, that probably maybe felt that he was directly speaking about them. Because a lot of lads were involved last year. Like for example, Barry O'Hagan was the captain of the team last year. And Barry's a wonderful footballer and has proven himself at inter-county level. Now Barry maybe doesn't have the medals at club level that the Kilcoo lads have, and the Kilcoo lads are very, very blessed to have those medals and very fortunate to have those medals, and you treasure them, and that can never be taken away from you. But a lot of lads have proven themselves at inter-county level and Down, and there's a lot of lads that certainly haven't. And Eugene still has to tick that box, where he has to prove himself at inter-county level and Down, and listen, there's no question his credentials at club level. He's a very, very difficult player to pick up in club games. He's got a lot of energy. He pops up in the end of things. He gets scores. But the inter-county game, as you know, has moved on an awful lot in recent years, and a massive part of the inter-county game now is the physical conditioning and the athleticism, and it doesn't matter, what you do, bigger and stronger teams. Like it's funny, the other day, like we have a brilliant wee team in school, we under 13s. Like we played Cross McLean the other day, and like we were just as good at footballers, but they're just bigger and stronger. As I said to the wee lads at the end, like sometimes just people that are bigger, stronger, faster, you just can't do anything about it, and that's the ultimate difference on Sunday. Like when Cavan's bringing on Geroid McKiernan at 6'5", we don't have that person to bring in, and unfortunately the personnel is not there. But look, it's going to be, it is, Andy, you're right, it's a difficult job, because you're bringing in so many lads from your own club and stuff like that, because you have to go back to them as well, because undoubtedly later in the summer Conor will be involved in Kilcoo seniors in some capacity, whether that be a coach or whether that be a player. He will undoubtedly be involved in some capacity. That's a given. Everyone in Down knows that. So to go back into the change room as well will be hard, So, but look, as I say, if we can win our last two games, and there's maybe a blip between Fermanagh or Westmeath or whatever it happens to be, then maybe things might just take a turn for the better, because we certainly need a bit of a boost, But in Division 3, I have to say, Mickey Graham, but Kieran Donnelly's done a great job too. Kieran Donnelly's done a great job at Fermanagh too. Very, very good manager and very astute. Knows the game. Up until last year, Jack Cooney would have had him up there as well. Obviously, Jack stepped away now. Desi Dolan's in there, still wet behind the ears. Desi as well, but they're doing okay. But Mickey Graham certainly has Cavan going in the right direction. And I thought last year after losing the Tailteann Cup final, and I thought it would have been difficult for Cavan to lift it. And Thomas Gallagher going travelling as well. I thought that would have been a big blow, but no, but he's done really well. Paddy Lynch is a great performer. He destroyed Down on Sunday, absolutely destroyed them. What do you call them? Paddy Faulkner, a lot of experience there as well. Dara McVitie, Gillian Clark, with a lot of experience. And I was chatting to actually a fella today down the street, actually, and I was saying about Cavan, and he said to me about Cavan, and I actually remember 13 years ago, and coaching Down under 21s, and we went to Breffni Park. And at the end of the game, I was just going on the field to shake a few of the lads' hands, and McKiernan was playing. Right, McKiernan was playing. I'm 6'2", and I was looking at this man. Oh, Jesus Christ, the size. It looked like he was just, a full head and shoulders above me. And I was thinking, that is just an animal. But they had won, and this is the thing, Peter Donnelly deserves a lot of credit for this. Peter Donnelly was in there doing their S&C. I know Andre Quinn's in now doing it. Andre Quinn is ironically a Down man. But Andre Quinn is in doing their S&C now. But Peter Donnelly set great foundations in there about 13 years ago. He was there for 5 seasons, and they won 4 Ulster under-21s back-to-back. Now that was from 2010 to 2014. If you think of the age profile of those boys, 19, 20, those boys are now 27, 28, 29, 30, coming into their prime. So this is Cavan's time now, and for me, they are out of 3. They're promoted now, so they're promoted now, and now what the goal for Cavan will be, obviously, if they find themselves in the Sam Maguire, their goal will obviously be to beat Armagh first and foremost in the Ulster Championship, and they'll fancy their chances. They will fancy. Cavan will fear nobody in Ulster, because people sometimes forget the history and tradition that Cavan have as well. Multiple Ulster, and all Ireland winners. So. Yeah, listen, Mickey Graham for me, absolutely.
And we'll say, last division here, Division 4. So we have We have who's on top. Leash are on top with 8. You have Sligo with 8. Wicklow 7. Leitrim 6. Wexford 5. Carlow 5. And the bottom two then are London and Waterford with 1 and no points.
Yeah.
It's tight. It's tight at the top, isn't it?
It's tight at the top. I think that you've probably got to look at it from a resources point of view as well. In my opinion, probably the one working with the least resources is probably maybe Andy Moore. Andy's probably working with very, very small county, a very rural county. You would know them better than me, Enda. Billy Sheehan obviously is in with as manager of Laois, but really and truly, like, Laois should not be in Division 4. That's the reality of the situation. They should not be in Division 4 with the facilities they have, the size of the town in Port Laois, the fact that Port Arlington we're knocking on the door at Leinster as well. Like, they should not be in Division 4. That's the bottom line. So I couldn't give it to Laois, and I suppose Tony Mack's been there 3 or 4 years with Sligo now as well, but Andy seems to be getting a bounce, and I think if he can get promoted, I would probably hold back in Division 4s on the award in Division 4 until I see how it goes.
What do you make of Oisin going into Wicklow? I kind of found that a bit of a strange one. What do you think of that?
What was that? Sorry.
Oisin going into Wicklow at the start. No, look at it. They're on the brink. Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one, wasn't it?
Brink, but yeah, I found it very strange. Travel's a big thing too. I obviously know from my time down at Carlow as well. Wicklow, they wouldn't have a great playing pool either. I would look at it as well, even just watching their county champions that night. On RTE in the Leinster Club Championship, I thought the county champions, thought the standard of football was below par, and what you would see in other provinces, things like that. So obviously it was a difficult job. I think I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I think the quality, and from speaking to a few of the Carlow lads that are at matches, not playing, that are at matches, former players would tell me that the quality in Division 4 this year has been very, very below par. Very poor quality across Division 4, and it's probably one of the reasons why the division is so tight. If you think in previous years, Enda, you've always had a standout team. So, for example, Cavan last year, Westmeath, you had maybe you had a Tipperary there a lot of years ago. You've always had one team that probably shouldn't be there, and a standout team. And I think that this year there's no real standout team. All the teams that are there are probably at that level. So no, listen, as I say,
I'd give it to Andy. I think you're right. I think I'd love to see them get promoted, to be honest. I think it'd be a phenomenal achievement if they got from 4 to 3, especially with the resources. There's only I think is there 10 senior the clubs in Leitrim, the amount of clubs in Leitrim for our county is tiny. It's absolutely tiny. I'm not sure. There's 16 senior. We say in Mayo, 16 senior, 16 intermediate, and 16 junior. I would say, safely say, there's less than half in Leitrim. It's yeah, just talking to one of the coaches in there, Luke Bree. He's in there with Andy, and he just, I think I said this to you before. He couldn't get over the. He's really invested himself into the county and just doing, an awful lot of things outside of the kind of county scene as well, in terms of helping, trying to fundraise and trying to promote the game, and even coaching clinics in terms of their underage as well, which is, you don't have to do that, so it's obviously, look at it's year 2, hopefully, I'd like to see it for him. In fairness, he puts an awful lot of. I'm not saying the other lads don't as well, but obviously from a personal point of view, I've known him for a long time, so I know what he's like. It'd be nice to see it. Well, look, it's going to be tight now the next 2 games, so we'll see what happens there. But any other games that took your fancy from the weekend, Stevie? Any other games stand out there?
Well, Donegal Armagh on Saturday night, it was a war of attrition, I suppose, and probably a couple of Donegal, I would say probably, defensively over the last few games have probably improved a wee bit. And they conceded 1-9 against Galway. They only conceded 0-12 against Armagh, albeit they didn't win either game. But I think they'll be pleased with getting a wee bit of stubbornness back in their game. I think that's what Donegal's missing. That just that wee bit of stubbornness and grind and graft that they've been, so well renowned for. I think what's going to probably fall short for Donegal is the fact that Murphy's gone, McBurdy's now gone, and that scoring threat. I think Ryan McHugh's still injured, if I'm right. I think Ryan McHugh's still injured, and he's a big string puller for them from an offensive point of view as well. Enda. So I think they're going to fall back. But Armagh are ticking along. Like it was a big win for them. It was a big win for them. They probably haven't set the world on fire. They started last year off, really, really well. But
sorry to cut across you. Do you think there's pressure on Armagh this year?
There's probably expectation. I'll tell you where there's a lot of expectation. Their fan base. Their fan base are fanatical, and you probably know the same yourself with Mayo. Like their fan base is fanatical, right? Like the kickoff. Fuck me, I should be shot for that. The throw in on Saturday night. The throw in on Saturday night was delayed for 15 minutes due to crowd congestion, right? Yeah. And you're sort of thinking to yourself, like, the expectations, are the expectations real? That's probably what you need to ask the question. Are the expectations real? Are Armagh ready to win an All-Ireland yet? They probably believe they are, but they're probably not. No.
I know what you're saying there, but like how I know exactly what you're saying in terms of obviously in the squad.
I don't believe they are.
I know that,
but
how?
They
promise. But even enormous FC, if you're in that squad. Like how, like you have to be gunning for an Ulster title. You need an Ulster title for that stepping stone. That's where Derry. That's where. Go on, sorry.
No, 100%. I agree with you. But I would say what they looked at is 2 years ago. They probably looked at a very, very what they would see a normal Tyrone team winning All Ireland, right? And they would say to themselves, "We could do that." Last year, they probably looked at having a game wrapped up. Last year, they probably looked at having a game wrapped up in against Galway. They had the game probably won. Now they were down and out. Then they came back, and then in extra time, they probably should have won the game, and they conceded that last kick out, and Galway went down the field and equalised, and lo and behold, then obviously beaten in penalties. And then they looked at how close Galway got in an All-Ireland final. They would have went into that All-Ireland semi-final thinking, we'll beat Derry, So they're probably thinking we're not a million miles away. I still think midfield, if they get a couple of injuries, I think midfield could be an Achilles heel for them. I also think defensively as well, there may be one or two really, really high caliber man markers away from winning it. And then I do feel that if a team really targets Rian O'Neill, where are they going to get that magical 16, 17 scores from to win a big game? Like they went down to Kerry and they set up very defensively. And that's one thing I would say, and is that certainly under Kieran McKeever and Kieran Donaghy, under the coaching of those two men, they have become a lot more organised defensively. They've become a lot harder to beat as well. They went down to Kerry and probably should have got something out of Kerry. I would say they're very, very proud of that. But I'll tell you what it is. It's setting up very, very nicely for a last day in Division 1, because I think Armagh go to Healy Park. And I'll tell you now, if relegation is on the line for both teams that day, there will be fireworks at that game, because they despise each other. And I think it'll be a corker of the game. Like I was looking at the fixtures and I was thinking that could be an absolute classic, And if Donegal were to pick up a result this weekend, Donegal Roscommon could be war as well in the Hyde. Like it could be like you could be getting into one of those, those. Remember last year the TG Carr done it. It was like a Super Sunday, and it was all the scores coming from around the ground, like a red zone, like a GA red zone. That would be class. That would be absolutely class, And maybe it's something that we could look at probably trying to push for. With the likes of RTE, who have the manpower and the finances to do it. GA red zone on a Sunday afternoon. My God, it would be unbelievable. Unbelievable, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
be class.
Be savage. No, I actually remember back in, I think it was 13. We went down to Cork and we had a chat. We were going to be relegated if we lost. And we won that game by a point, and we got through to the league final. So I'm thinking it's going to be the same thing. It's mad, isn't it? That's fucking mad.
Yeah, it's so tight, and that's what makes the division. That's what we started the show with, and we started talking about our national leagues. They're the best. It's the best competition we have.
Yeah,
it really
is.
It really is.
Look, Look, I say we leave it there. We leave it there. Good to talk to you, and sure, we'll see you next week. We'll see you next week, right? Come
Absolutely.
on.
Good man,
Cheers, mate.
gentlemen.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks.
Bye, bye, bye.